Hello folks, and welcome back to my channel. You may notice that we are not in my typical filming location with my typical filming setup. This is because I am filming this after top surgery. I know I usually pre-film my content, and I do have everything pre-filmed through like almost December, but this video, this review is so exciting and just so good and so cool that I could not wait until I was fully recovered and could do the proper filming setup to sit down and record it, because I'm just so excited about this one. So today we are reviewing Hialeah body jewelry, and let's just get right into it. Now, normally when I do these reviews, I try and be as unbiased as possible. I talk about like ordering jewelry myself, full price online, so that people aren't like sending me something special because they know it's going to me, and all of these steps that I take to try and be as unbiased as possible when I do reviews. Today's review is not going to be like that. You know, we all have our own biases. Sometimes we have to acknowledge when those biases are going to come into play, and this is a heavily biased review. I have been working with Hialeah jewelry since just about the company opened, honestly. Yeah, I think we placed our first orders. I placed my first orders with them probably within the first 4 or 5 months that they were a company that existed. So I have seen the full spectrum of Hialeah. I have seen it grow from what it was when it was a baby company first being posted about in some of the piercing forums, all of the way to the phenomenal company that it is today. And I adore this brand so much. I adore the message of this brand. I enjoy the ethos and the ethics of this brand and the quality of their jewelry. It's a very, very biased review. And honestly, I think by the time this review is over, most folks watching will probably see where a bias like mine would come from when you've got a company that is just doing such wonderful stuff like this. Now, Hialeah Jewelry is a limited scope jewelry company. So what that means is their specialization and really all they do is chains. So you want a cute little chain across your nose, Hialeah's got you. Charms to dangle from your ears, Hialeah's got you. Chain industrials, charms, dangles, anything with chains, they've got you covered. But they don't do anything else. So Hialeah doesn't do barbells, they don't do circulars, they don't do threaded or threadless ends. They're exclusively a chain company. And honestly, our industry benefits a lot from having a few smaller companies that specialize in just one type of jewelry. We've got our big powerhouse companies that do everything. No matter what type or piece of jewelry you want, they'll make it. Those big companies also tend to have longer turnaround times. There can be more in the process of getting pieces. So the fact that we have a number of small maker companies that do small focus selections of, let's say, just threaded ends or just threadless stuff or just chains and charms, really allows for studios to have a diverse set of companies that they purchase from, diverse companies that can meet different price points and be able to get jewelry in different time frames depending on what company they're going through. So I think there are a lot of benefits to the industry having a few smaller makers that are focused on one specific piece or one specific item that they produce very well, and then our wonderful big manufacturers who do everything under the sun. I think there is a wonderful place for both. So Hialeah is completely focused on chains and charms. Hialeah is actually a piercer-owned company. It was started in 2018 when its owner, Dainty, after piercing since 2007, kind of noticed the void in the market for someone focused just on chains and charms, and a lot of studios having a hard time getting and keeping chains and chain pieces in stock in the early days of like chains getting popular back in like 2018, but also just sort of a void of smaller makers and companies that had piercers or former piercers working for them who had the knowledge and experience of a piercer to bring to some of that jewelry creation and some of that jewelry design. Dainty, the owner, also saw a struggle in accessibility when it came to high quality jewelry companies. It was hard for folks to get accounts with some of these big vendors and big manufacturers. Turnaround times at that time were very long. People were waiting months and months sometimes for orders, and a lot of studios were struggling to make the step from carrying just plain titanium pieces to slightly more decorative titanium and gold pieces. That was a really hard step for a lot of studios to make. And chains were just becoming pretty popular. There was a lot of demand for it and people were struggling to keep up. And she went to herself, maybe I could fill this void. And now, 6 years later, Hialeah is a mainstay in a lot of studios all over the country and even all over the world. It's blown up incredibly, and it's just been so cool to watch this journey and this growth, and to see something that started from such a good place turn into what it is today. So let's take a look at some of the jewelry pieces from Hialeah. I obviously have to start off with my favorite piece of this whole setup. Look at this double chain and dangle piece. Oh my God, I love this. If we look closely, we've got these beautiful like laser etched links. I wish I was able to get a really good video of this piece. I swear to God, I tried, and just nothing I do does it justice, but in person, all of that laser etching on those links catches the light as it moves. So the chain itself has so much like sparkle and shine, and it's just so gorgeous. And of course, we've got this little tassel with this gorgeous stone. And this piece would work so perfectly as like a faux industrial setup. Just imagine it like between 2 points on the ear with that little tassel dangling down. It could also work just between 2 existing piercings, like a conch to a helix. There's just so much versatility with this. And that's one of those things that I love about chains and charms, is that they can be a really affordable way to totally elevate and upgrade the look of an ear, and they can be attached to existing piercings that you already have. So you don't even have to get something pierced to have this cool new feeling and look to your ear. So just such fun pieces. And of course, big chains and big setups like this are not going to be realistic for fresh piercings. I would never pierce someone and put this piece on right away. I think it would be too difficult to heal with and cause too many problems. So because a lot of these chains and charms are designed for healed piercings only, it means we have a lot more versatility playing with size and dangle and materials and things like this, and doing stuff that wouldn't really be feasible to do in a brand new piercing, but we can really, kind of sky is the limit with how decorative we can get with healed stuff. So with most of these pieces being designed for wear and healed piercings, we can have a lot of fun with it. Like this long tassel garnet piece, this is such a statement piece. I want to see this in an earlobe so bad, but just this long dangle, long tassel attachment that could be put on any existing piercing and hang down. I personally think it would look gorgeous in like a second or third lobe. I could also see it in a helix or somewhere higher up on the ear, but I just think this is meant for like a statement lobe piece. I just want to zoom in a little on these stones here. So these are just drilled gemstones. They don't have any metal settings. This style has been getting more popular in piercing. I would say in like the last 7 to 5 years, I've really started to see like invisible set and just drilled dangles like this becoming more popular. And I love metal and big chunky pieces, so I do enjoy a set stone, but I understand the appeal of stones like this because you can really see the light through them, and garnets can typically be a darker stone. So having it with no setting just really allows the light to penetrate and lets you get that like really deep, rich red color. And one of the things that I love about Hialeah as a company is that Lainey is really focused on ethical manufacturing and ethical production. She's super transparent about where she sources all of her materials from, and like ethically sourced stones are pretty important to her. So all of the gems in this collection that I'm reviewing here are sourced through Gemerex, which is a well-known ethical company when it comes to stone sourcing. They're clean, they're like environmentally conscious in terms of like the environmental impact of the mining and removal of stones, and also like human conscious in terms of like the labor that's being used, that it's ethical labor, that it's a safe working environment, that people are paid a living wage. And one of the things that I love with this small business is that Lainey has such close relationships with the places she gets her gold and her stones and her materials from, that she can say with a lot of confidence like exactly where these pieces are coming from, because she's buying smaller batch. It's a little bit easier to trace all of that. So you know that every piece is ethical. And I really appreciate that, especially when so often gemstone manufacturing and gemstone mining is not really like the most ethical industry. Now, not everyone may want to wear the largest showpiece piece of jewelry out there, and that's totally fine. This little charm is so cute. It's small, it's dainty, it's delicate. This is going to have a lot more versatility for a lot more people. I know that I myself was really hesitant to start wearing dangles and like charm attachment pieces. I thought like the sensory feeling of it like tickling my ear might bother me, or I was worried about getting it caught and snagged. These days I wear some pretty large charm pieces on a lot of my lobe piercings, and I used to wear a really big charm on my rook. And it didn't really bother me as much as I expected, and I didn't really get it caught as much as I expected. So pieces like this that are like a larger stone and shorter chain, not going to be as snaggy or as like sensorily intense as you might think. But again, I love the versatility. I love that we've got big pieces, small pieces, something for everyone. And if you don't like stones, one of my favorite things that Lainey does is a lot of like mixed chain layering pieces. I'm not necessarily going to say I think she was the first person to it, because I've definitely seen people doing this for a while, but I want to say that Lainey really like took it to the next level a couple years ago with like mixing box chains with bead chains, with hammered chains, with laser cut chains, and was really at the forefront of this like mixed metal, mixed texture trend that I think we see a lot of now in piercing, that I'm personally a huge fan of. I love mixing textures with different chains and different surface finishes on pieces, hammered, sandblasted, laser etched. I think as much as we like mix our metals and even mix colors with different stones, mixing the texture on our gold can be really fun and really beautiful too. So this double chain piece has two different chain types on it, so you have sort of that like textural difference. Something like this I would love to loop around a conch in place of a hoop, or see connect from a flat to a helix, or even drape behind some lobe piercings and kind of peekaboo out behind the ear. And I love the mixed texture. And quite possibly one of my favorite things that Lainey does with her stuff, and this is a little bit piercer nerdy, but it's a little bit client nerdy too. This is not the most beautiful picture, but this is the Hialeah measuring set. So these are lengths of titanium chain that are designed to be autoclavable. So if you are trying to measure and fit a client for their perfect nose chain or their perfect chain on their ear, measuring for chains is hard. It's not an exact science of like, okay, what's the perfect distance from point A to point B? Because A, we're working on a human body, so it's not a straight line. We're going like over the curvature of a nose or around the curvature of an ear. But then we also have to consider the drape someone wants. Does someone want it to fit super tight across the bridge of their nose? Do they want it to have a little bit of dangle? Are we doing this as a faux industrial? Do they want it to have a lot of dangle? How is it physically going to sit as the jewelry moves in the ear? Like when I am measuring for complex chains at my studio, one of the big things that clients will hear me say is, I can't guarantee that this measurement is going to be perfect first shot. Like a simple chain, I'm probably going to get that measurement right in one. But when we start doing double, triple, quad dangle chains, when we start doing chains that have gemstones or adornments as part of the chain or dangling off of the chain, I am constantly like, I'm gonna do my best, but we might have to, like this piece might come in and the measurement might not be perfect. We might have to fit it back, sort of like getting fitted for like a wedding dress or a very nice suit. You know, there's usually more than one round of tailoring to get it perfect. And I sit there and I've used fishing line and like faux pieces of cheap chain and calipers and paper rulers and so many different things to try and measure and like determine the perfect fit for someone. And so these measurement kits from Lainey are amazing because you can hold them directly up to the client's ear. You can even loop them onto the piercing if it's very well healed, figure out the exact perfect fit, and then they're made of titanium. So you can process them, sterilize them, and keep them to reuse as measuring tools in your studio if you have a reprocessing setup. If you don't, you can always try and use them on like silicone tools where you hold them up but they don't actually contact the client's ear. That way they can just be optimed down and sort of, again, like reused as a measuring tool. But I love the concept of including this as something that she makes and offers, because it, like, learning to measure chains can be really tricky. And this is one way that makes it so much easier for folks to sort of start to get accurate measurements for things and help clients get their perfect measurement for their perfect piece. Now, in the sake of full transparency, every piece that I've reviewed in this video was given to me for free. And so I know a lot of folks here like, oh, you got free products, so of course you're like gonna give it a good review. First of all, no, I have been sent free product from companies many times in the past and given it a bad review, or even sent that product back to the company. So that is not the case here. There have been times when new companies were starting out in the industry and they asked me to review some of their products, and I sent the entire order back because not a single piece met my standards for what it should be. I do have a bias because I've been working with Hialeah for a long time, so I had no doubt that the pieces that she sent were going to be great. But if they weren't, I would be the first person to be like, hey, what the fuck is this? But secondly, these products are not for me. If you aren't visiting this video from my Instagram and you haven't seen my posts about this yet, all of the products that I've reviewed in this video and more that I didn't have time to review or they're too similar to other products to be in this are part of a giveaway that Lainey and I have decided to do together. And when I say that I have a bias towards this brand, not just because of its quality, but because of its ethics, this is the sort of thing that I mean. So the impetus behind this video is Lainey saw that I was doing these reviews online and was like, hey, I would love for you to review Hialeah. Like, I can send you some product, we can do some stuff. And I was like, you know, like my studio already has an account, we purchase from them all the time, and my studio is doing pretty well, I'm doing pretty well, I don't really need the product. And Lainey was like, yeah, I figured like Laughing Buddha probably doesn't. What if we did it as a giveaway and we picked a studio that maybe doesn't have much gold in stock or is still making the transition to quality and is still like having a hard time bridging that gap from like simple quality pieces to fancy, more decorative stuff. And you could give away everything I send you to this studio. And not only would they get this product, but they'll get an account. Because accounts, I believe, are currently closed for Hialeah as she's catching up with her books. We love to see small makers busy and booked out, but it does mean that sometimes they have to close new accounts so that they can focus on keeping up with their current orders. That way their lead times aren't too long. So currently you can't get an account with Hialeah while they're playing catch up after conference and after everything. But the lucky winner of this giveaway will not only get stock valued at over $1,000 for their studio, a full selection of what Hialeah offers from simple plain chain pieces up to decorative double chains and tassels, and the titanium measuring chain kit. But they will also get a permanent account with Hialeah so that they can order whatever pieces their clients like and start stocking more decorative pieces and more fancy pieces. And that's what I mean, man. That's what I mean. The thought that a company wants to, first of all, the thought that a company wants to collaborate with little old me, oh my God, such an honor. But wants to collaborate with me in a way that it's not just like, here's a bunch of free products, say good shit about my company online, but rather acknowledges like, Lynn doesn't need free product. I work at a great studio. We have plenty of stock. We can afford to purchase stuff on our own. How can we not only make this an opportunity to give a review of this company and this brand and what they produce and the things they make, but also make it an opportunity to give back to the piercing industry and help a studio that's not in the same place, help a piercer that's not in the same place. And receiving something like this and getting an account along with it will be so huge to a smaller studio or a smaller piercer out there who's struggling to make that step into more decorative pieces and into fancier pieces. And often it's such an impossible hurdle to get these designs in your studio in the first place. You are just playing catch up, keeping your basics in stock. So to get a big selection like this completely for free to then build off of could, for someone who is smart and savvy about their finances and their ordering, literally change the trajectory of a small studio or a small piercer. And I fucking love that Lainey is thinking of that it's the same wavelength that I'm on with wanting to, you know, help people in this industry grow and do more and be more. And if any bigger companies are out there listening and seeing this video and want to do a similar collaboration, nothing would make me happier than getting to gift someone like a full stock of titanium for their studio or an account with a big name gold company. So if any of those bigger manufacturers are listening, a collaboration like this where we get to give maybe multiple studios some really awesome jewelry and accounts would be a cool thing to do. No, but I just love it. I love the ethos behind it. I love that it is a small maker company. I love that it's woman owned. I love that it's piercer owned. I love that it's someone who has that experience in the industry and that love and compassion for the industry, trying to do something that is affordable, that is accessible, and that is filling a niche that is only getting more popular in the industry. Chains have been blowing up. Like half of the people who come to see me for pared nostrils these days are doing it because they want to wear one of those chains. I fucking love it. I think it's so cute. And just the ethos of a maker being willing to send, again, like over $1,000 worth of product completely for free to give away to a studio and take on another account and just help make quality jewelry and quality piercing and high-end fun stuff more accessible to piercers, which then makes it more accessible to clients. It's amazing. I love the ethics of Hialeah. I love how much they stand for the industry and for piercers and how piercer focused and piercer minded they are. I love supporting small makers and the quality is awesome. Lainey is really serious about what she sources, really serious about the stuff that she makes. And like I said, I've been ordering from the beginning from Hialeah. And, you know, there were times when this company was starting out that I got pieces in that I did have to send back. I'm not going to lie. I've sent back pieces to probably almost every company I've ever worked with. Nobody's perfect, but she's always heard the feedback, always learned and grown. And the stuff that she's created after those first couple months in business have been impeccable. Like, come on, look at these stones. Look at these gorgeous chains. And here are some photo examples of her pieces worn. Like, look at that. Such a perfect accent. I can't get over it. It's gorgeous stuff. It's honestly really affordable. Her price point on a lot of her chains and charms and dangles is, I would say, one of the most affordable price points for this type of jewelry on the market, which I love from an accessibility standpoint. And, you know, I just can't say enough good things about this company, about the quality of the stuff that they make and about the care and compassion they have for this industry and our clients. And I love seeing it. You know, it makes me so happy to see more makers and more companies like this cropping up in piercing, and just sort of that community spirit. And I think Hialeah really embodies that in a way that makes me feel really good when I spend money with them, because I know I'm supporting someone so passionate and so caring, who's doing good stuff for this industry, like giving away accounts and big orders to small studios that need it. So the full details of this giveaway are posted over on my Instagram. This giveaway is obviously exclusive to studios. The idea is that we are helping a studio get this stock in and have an account to be able to order from. So you can check all of that out over on my Instagram. If your studio currently doesn't have Hialeah or carry it, or have a large selection of gold or decorative pieces, maybe send them my Instagram post, maybe send them this video. They can see an admittedly somewhat biased review of the quality, but I would hope that you guys know me well enough now to know that if I am biased in a positive direction towards a company, it is for good reason. I would never put my name behind a company that didn't meet my exceedingly high standards, and I can assure you that Hialeah does. Pass this along, tell them to go follow me over on Instagram and follow Hialeah over on Instagram. And I am so excited to see where this jewelry ends up. And I can't wait. And again, like I was saying, if any other big jewelry companies see this and want to do a similar collaboration with me, and maybe get more good jewelry into the hands of more piercers who need it, I would love to do this again. All right, folks, thanks so much for sitting down and hanging out, and I can't wait to chat with you again soon. Bye.